So today we're going to look at part 3, the last part of chapter 20, lesson 1. What is Earth's place in the universe? So we're going to look at, can we make a model of the solar system? Well, if you look at a model in our science textbook, the models on paper can show the relative position of the planets. So you can see which one comes in what order. However, you cannot show the relative distances, okay? So even if the Earth was only a millimeter in diameter, that's teeny tiny, right? Even if it was a millimeter, if we wanted to draw this to scale, then the distance from the sun in our model or on our paper would have to be, for Mars, would be represented by 4.5 meters from the sun. Now here I have my meter stick, okay? This is 1 meter. So if I had 4.5 meters from the sun on my drawing, then that would be almost from the floor to the ceiling, if not taller, okay? And then to Venus, it would be 8.5 meters. Then to Earth, it would be 11.7 meters. And to Mars, 17.9 meters. To get to Jupiter, now we're in the outer planets, to get to Jupiter, it would be 61 meters. That's 61 of these meter sticks. If we wanted to get to Saturn, it would be 112 meters. If we wanted to get to Uranus, it would be 225 meters. Neptune, 352 meters. That's a long distance. And poor old Pluto, we would have to go to 459 meters from the sun. So is that easy to draw with a meter stick and paper? Not so much. We'll try that out in class. So next we want to look at, and finally in this lesson, is why do planets differ? So we looked at distances of planets, right? The distance from the sun is certainly going to have an effect on the planets. In this case, we're going to look at Mars, Venus, and Earth, right? The first 3 planets from the sun. Well, of course, Mars is 2 times the distance from Venus, okay? So Venus is actually going to be farther, okay? I apologize. So it's Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars. So we're looking at Venus, Earth, and Mars. So Mars is 2 times the distance from Venus, right? So we have Mars here, and then from the sun, versus Venus to the sun. Now Venus is going to be much warmer because it's closer to the sun, okay? But distance is only one way one way to explain the differences between these planets. Well, another one is size, okay? So Mars is really small, whereas Earth and Venus are about the same size. So the size, if it's bigger, it's going to have more gravity. And, and more gravity means that the atmosphere, the gases in the atmosphere, are going to be tighter and thicker and be closer to the planet. So if it's bigger, there's more gravity and it holds that atmosphere closer and it has a thicker atmosphere. So for example, Mars, which is really small, has 200 times less gas than Earth. Okay, that's really not a lot. And therefore it has a thin atmosphere. And without much atmosphere, then there's not going to be a lot of heat trapped inside, so it's very cold in Mars, okay? So not only is it farther from the sun, but it's also smaller, so it doesn't have a thicker atmosphere. Another reason, especially in Venus, now we were trying to find Venus for a while before we had these different probes that would go out into space to look at Venus. We thought, okay, Venus is kind of like Earth, so it'll probably be about the same as Earth, the same conditions. Well, not true. we sent one out and we found out that it was almost 475 degrees Celsius. Okay, that's really, really hot. Okay, and it had 100 times the pressure in the atmosphere as Earth. Well, why is that? Well, we have to look at these thick clouds. Okay, it had thick clouds in the atmosphere, and it had mostly carbon dioxide. Now we know that carbon dioxide will trap the heat, okay, like our greenhouse effect. Well, the carbon dioxide is going to absorb the heat. That's what this little picture is here. So it's absorbing the heat into the atmosphere, that blue line there, and then it's going to reflect that heat back to the surface of Venus. Okay, so it becomes really, really hot. So these are just some of the reasons why the planets differ. Sometimes size, sometimes the makeup of its atmosphere, and whatnot. Okay, so we can't make a model of the solar system on paper because the distances would just be too far, and these planets differ based on these characteristics. All right, I will see you next time in order to talk about lesson 2, where we're going to talk about stars. It's really neat. So make sure that you fill out your review notes, and I will see you in class.